How's everybody doing today? Doing the PPRV delete on the 04 Cobra, and I was thinking of whether or not I should make this video or not because there's so many other videos and everybody talks about the PPRV delete. But I did it anyways for my own, satisfaction, I guess. So we'll go over a couple things for you. Hopefully my subscribers like it because they might not have done it yet. But either way, I'll just go over a few things here. We'll start with getting the tank out. We'll go over just a little bit here and there, kind of like a crash course instead of a full blown video. But we'll just crash course you here. When you're pulling the tank out, the bolts for the tank are a 1/2 inch or a 13 millimeter. There's 4 of them. The back corner bolt that's back here was actually very tight and it's difficult to get to, so I only undid the front of it, which I don't really like to do because you end up bending the tank holders. So, but either way, I had to do it. I might get a new one of these eventually, but we'll see. Anyways, moving on. That was just a crash course on unbolting the tank, but I'm going to show you where it connects to the car so you kind of know where to look. On the left rear of the tank, there's 2 connections here. This unclips. It was easier for me to slide it out and pull it completely off than it was to try to just push it in. You have to use a pick to get it out. In the back of the tank, you'll probably have to get it this fitting once you're in the middle of pulling the tank out. You'll have to this is just a squeeze lock fitting up on the car. That's where it goes to. It just squeezes. Anyways, moving on. Back pretty much by where the filler neck is. There's 2 connections here and here. This one also has a connector that you'll have to use a pick and pick it out of there. Don't go nutso too crazy. It should come out. You'll see one of the ends is open, one of it's not. You just pull it out. This is where the filler is. I did unbolt the fuel filler neck up at the gas where you fill the gas up. When I pulled mine out, this end piece got stuck in the tank and kind of unclipped. I had to put it back together, so be aware that might happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't fall in the tank on you. I was actually able to grab mine and pull the seal out and get it out. Anyways, it's a little bit of the crash course there. When you do get it out, don't forget to unhook your fuel filter. Also, I actually went to Harbor Freight and picked up one of these cheap connector, these little kits here. Part number on that is 97576. It's going to be the 3/8, which is this blue one here. It's pretty tricky to get your hands in there and get it out and do it all. It took me a good 20 minutes of screwing around, giving up, screwing around, giving up, and then finally I popped it and everything was fine. When you finally get the tank dropped down, the bolts holding the sending unit on are an 8 millimeter or what's that called, a 5/16. For the other guys, it doesn't matter. They both work. And then when you go and you're pulling the sending unit out, I couldn't get it out without unbolting this from it first. This is the level, the sending unit for the level, the fuel tank level. Anyways, this is a 7 millimeter or 9/32 to undo that. You'll have to undo it. Make sure you don't drop these little screws into the tank. That's not fun. Anyways, we're on the subject of the PPRV, so I'll show you what that looks like. I already have mine removed. That's what it looks like right there. Anyways, what I did, I have to move this around a little bit. Setting it nicely. Alright, what I did, and it was pretty crazy, the lethal kit comes with 3 of the hoses and all 6 of the clamps. Now, it'd be unbelievably difficult to get these hoses that they give you to bend like this. It's just, I mean, it's impossible. I have another spare hose that I have laying around, but I'm going to try to see if I can show you a visual of how bad this would be to even try to do. I don't even know if you've done it, congratulations, but it's pretty ridiculous the bend you have to get kinks. So I wasn't even going to go messing around with that. I left the factory hoses for the Y in. What I did was I just slit the Y where it used to be connected. I just slit it with a razor. Nice and easy. Let's see where it's at. Camera's a little shaky. Shit. It's hard to show the razor blade cut, but I just slid it off of there. And then at the top, I cut the clamp off. You got to get some snips. Cut the clamps off. A lot of people were complaining about how these lines blow off of here because it's not good. I'm just going to tell you that's the nature of the beast. I mean, it's a situation where it's risk versus reward. You end up getting rewarded a lot more than the risk of this thing is blowing off. But I can see it happening. Sometimes these clamps might not be tight enough. Up in here where you clamp it on, you know, you should really have this stuff kind of screwed together, or in this stuff in any case it's actually heat shrunk together. So that's a really good way to do it. But if you're doing this with clamps and hoses, it's just the risk you're going to have to be willing to take that might eventually pop off. But all my stuff's nice and tight, so I'll be good. I let it loop around. It does kind of, when you're trying to put it in the tank, it makes it quite awkward to try to get it in there. But I wanted the loop kind of good. I wanted to make sure I didn't have the chance of kinking it at all when I was putting it in. I unclipped this little holder for the line. I unclipped it, pulled it out of the car. I just put a little zip tie on here, nice and loose, just so things can move. But it's just so it doesn't move too much, because this thing would just raise the tension on the hose. It would just raise up too much, and it wouldn't fit inside the tank. You can see the baffle in there. But that's pretty much a crash course. Shit, I'm tired. Anyway, that's pretty much a crash course video for this. I'm actually going to go ahead, you probably saw the wire sitting there. I'm actually going to go ahead and upgrade the wire for my pumps while I'm in here. You might want to take consideration of doing that. I'm just going to put a bigger wire in for the power and ground for the pumps, and I'll actually do it all the way through. I am going to keep the factory connector, and I'll just show you, I'm kind of in the middle of that. So I zip tied the wiring that I'm not going to need to mess with out of the way at the ends and in the middle. I just razor blade cut this open to get at the wire. You don't want to dig in too hard with the razor blade, because you could actually slice the wires open and not see it or not notice it. You don't want to do that. But I just sat there and kind of cut it away, cut it nice and straight, and just cut it open. Pulled the wires away that I needed. Zip tied the ones I didn't need together. I'll cut these zip ties off later. It's just to hold them. And then I'll upgrade the wire. But that's pretty much it for the video. And if you guys have any questions, post up, comment, whatever. It's just a quick little fun video. So you guys have a good one.